What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is my Snowfall video for RIP Manboy, but more importantly, where he went wrong. Now, Drew, aka Manboy, was smart in the game, and he was making a come up, but he had too much hubris. He thought he was doing too much. He thought he was too smart. He underestimated Franklin and his competition, and he thought that he was going to be able to outsmart and outdo everybody. And in the end, that was his big downfall. I'm gonna explain. So if you remember when he was plotting at the table, telling Scully and everybody he gonna get the plug and what he gonna do to Franklin, and even Scully said, "You a grimy, dirty dude." He built up confidence because he helped his sister when she was in the foster care, and he handled that business when somebody was doing her wrong at a young age. Now we see that he was pressing too hard, first of all with T, and when he put all that pressure on her, that wasn't going to do nothing but eventually make her make a mistake. Now she was giving him intel. It was his boys that was messing up, just like they messed up when it was time for them to take out Scully, and they was following too hard, too close, and Franklin and Peaches found out, so that didn't work. Now he had T there. She was going to eventually get all the info. I mean, she was giving Franklin that snappy nappy. He was talking in front of her. She had her hair positioned, the ear hustle on every little word and every little thing he did, but he wouldn't let her do her job. Now his sister, that's another problem. He was never able to control his sister. Now his sister was crazier than Scully. They made a hell of a combination, and Scully kind of wised up and figured out things was wrong and turned to Jesus, but she didn't. She turned to making pulled pork off a fatback. She wanted to make straight, fresh pulled pork, stabbed him up, diced him up, and then delivered him like DoorDash to their house, and that was a problem. She had a girl, Salt and Pepper, straight taking out any dude walking around with a lopsided fro, because she didn't put a bounty on Leon's head, so all they needed to do was try to find somebody with a lopsided fro, and they was about to try to take him out. And even Manboy knew that was stupid. It was bringing more heat, more drama than what was necessary. They wasn't doing what they were supposed to do right, and in the end, it's going to cause problems and heat that they didn't need. He tried to tell his sister to calm that down, but she wouldn't listen. She kept pushing the envelope, and when you push a person into a corner, then they ain't gonna have nothing left to do but come back. The final thing that she did when she pushed the envelope is she had Salt and Pepper and her go ride and do a drive-by at the funeral for Fatback, and it ain't like they hit No Neck Johnson and the crew. They hit Aunt Louie, and that was a problem. He was sipping on too much Old B600, which is that knockoff Old E800, and so he ain't thinking right. She telling him the intel, he ain't listening, and he of course is not realizing that, hey, he can't push the envelope too much because she gonna get caught, and that's exactly what happened. She slipped. He kept on telling her to find this out, find that out, and she was in a hurry. She was scared. He came by her house and pressured her. So of course Franklin is gonna put two and two together eventually. You backed his whole crew into a corner by taking out Aunt Louie, and she almost got killed. But Franklin, of course, is a thinker. He's not gonna rush into things. So he underestimated who he was dealing with to a certain extent, because once Franklin found out, he wasn't going to just kill her like most people, and then Manboy could have been on his guard because he would have known, okay, Franklin on to me. But instead, Franklin, he ended up using her to get to him by giving bad intel. Now, she told him they was on the way. Of course, he was ready, but they never showed up. Now, he should have known something was wrong when they didn't show up, but instead, he fell for the okie doke because Franklin and everybody made her call and say he was ready to do the deal. Now, he did try to ask a couple questions when she called, saying, okay, what changed? What made him do it? But when she said, he didn't want a war, this, that, and the other, she's a good liar. But at the same time, he fell for the okie doke, and he should have known this ain't making no sense. His sister just did that hit. They didn't push the envelope too much. She's probably compromised, but instead he felt he was the smartest dude in the game, and he underestimated who he was dealing with. Now, instead of going to the meetup point, he went to see her, which was smart. He was smart, but He made another mistake. Whenever you go into somebody's house like that, you always check the house first before you try to yoke them up and try to do something to them, because you don't know who else could be in the house. It could have been anybody in that house with her, and he made the big mistake of going in alone. You always go in with backup. Now, he caught a little blade to the side like he was Wesley Snipes or something, had a little blade in him, but instead of shooting her right away, he wanted to talk. He wanted to try to make a point, and that's when he got caught slipping, and Franklin put two into him, had him doing the, you know what I'm saying, cabbage patch on the side of the wall. So instead of him trying to figure out what was best, it was too late. He should have checked the house first before you tried to make an attempt, and you had 3 dudes with you in the car. Why you didn't bring at least one of them with you, have one of them on security? Instead, they laughing, thinking that everything is a game, thinking things are sweet, and they got aired out like dirty laundry hanging out in the projects, and it was a wrap for all of them. They all got took out, and so in the end, they were slipping. They underestimated who they was dealing with, and that was the #1 mistake that they should have never made. You always take your people, you overestimate in this game. And so yeah, he tried to get his gun. It was already too late. He was done. But instead, he tried to talk crazy, and I mean, it didn't matter whether he talked crazy or not, because they wasn't gonna let him live. But what he said was stupid, because he tried to say that they were weak and each one was weaker than the next, like Jerome is Franklin's bitch, and Franklin is, you know, whipped by that punani, by somebody that he was that was listening to him, and Leon ain't do nothing. But in the end, they did do something. You dead. And if they were so weak and you got outsmarted by them, what's that make you? Always keep in mind, when somebody is trying to talk about somebody and you was dealing with them, what does that make you? Whether it's a relationship and you trying to talk about your ex and you saying this, that, and the other, well, you were with them. If it's a job or somebody else or whatever the case, you was there. So always keep that in mind. And Franklin, when he finished airing him out, he said he always talked too much. And that's the whole key right there. He talked too much. He pressured everybody too much when they was following Franklin from trying to go to the meet point. They was too close. He was having T pressure, talking too much, and it was just that he made too many mistakes, underestimated everybody because he felt that he was the smartest dude in the game. And he was a jealous person. He was jealous that Franklin had the plug and Franklin was in control, and he wanted that control. He wanted to be the dude at the top of the food chain, and in the end, it was his own demise. Like Louis said, he's too ambitious, and he didn't know how to go about it the right way. He should have tried to partner up with Franklin at least and then work his way in. But instead, he tried to choose an adversarial role, but sneak adversary, because he still needed the plug to make money with his crew. But at the same time, it's not like Franklin didn't know what he was trying to do on the side. Whereas if he would have proved his loyalty and been there from jump, helping Franklin, maybe Franklin would have put him on. In the end, he didn't pay attention to the signs on the wall, and he thought that he was smarter than everybody, underestimated everybody, and in the end, he ended up dead, and his sister, and his organization, his crew. And so you always got to be smart whenever you're dealing with situations in life, and always overestimate somebody. Never underestimate, overestimate. Expect that they'll do this and that and the other, and if they don't, then you good. But if you underestimate and then they do something, now you slipping, you messed up. So in the end, it cost him for underestimating Franklin. He couldn't control his sister, which allowed them to push the envelope and push them into a corner, which then made them have no choice but to come after them and kill them. He kept putting pressure on T, and by doing that, she made a mistake. She slipped up. He should have kept going. This is the long game that he was trying to play. So he should have took his time, let her do what she had to do, make sure that she put that snappy nappy on him, and then make him start spilling the beans. And next thing you know, he would have had what he wanted. But instead, she always saying, if it's anything you want, I want to help you, this, that, and the other. How is she telling him about give him the plug and it'll stop the beef and the war and this and that? How would she know this stuff? So, I mean, the things that she started saying because he was putting pressure on her, it made it pretty much obvious that she was working for him and that he was behind all this stuff. So in the end, y'all let me know what you think. I think he blew it by doing that. He should have chilled and got the info slow and steady win the race, but instead he was hot boying it. And in the end, he caught a couple hot ones in that boy. I'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace, and I'm out.